Hi everybody, so we've had the first weekend of the Call of Duty Modern Warfare 2019 beta, and what a roller coaster of emotions this release has been. It's been absolutely amazing. So what I did was, when I played it for the first time on Saturday night, when they didn't have the mini-map in the game, I was pretty disappointed. And I wrote a review straight away. I was like, oh god, I was looking forward to this so much, and they cocked it up by taking away the minimap. So what I thought I'd do is, to start off with, I'll read you the review that I wrote at that point after probably playing the game for about 3 hours. And this is what I wrote on Saturday night a few days ago. I wrote, I'll get straight to the point. Unless Infinity Ward and Activision put a full-time minimap back into their 2019 version of Modern Warfare, I don't think it's worth buying. Modern Warfare 2019 is a solid, boots on the ground Call of Duty. It plays great, feels great, but that lack of minimap chops the gameplay experience off at its knees. Sure, you could say this is a more tactical experience, and those who enjoy search and destroy or hardcore modes may not even notice the lack of a minimap. But for casual team deathmatch and domination players like myself, minimap awareness is an essential skill we've learned over the years, and I want it in my Call of Duty. Rainbow Six Siege is great without its minimap, but Call of Duty is simply not the same without it. I then went on to write, if the rest of the game was exceptional, then perhaps I could look past this omission, but to be honest, it's not. Modern Warfare 2019 looks, feels and plays great, but that's what we expect from a Call of Duty. Greatness is the minimum standard we expect. It's why we put up with a new expensive game every year and the DLC money grabbing that has plagued every title since Advanced Warfare. And I think the world has moved on since then. Or maybe it's me that's moved on. Call of Duty was the reason why I came back to gaming late in life. My son gave me his Xbox 360, and it was the first time I'd played shooters since the early days of the PlayStation 2. In fact, this gaming channel you're watching now, Scalespeeder Gaming, originally only had Call of Duty videos on it, and I actually had an extra playlist called Call of Duty Break, or COD Break, for where I played games that weren't Call of Duty, but that was so rare. But since that time, we've had so many amazing multiplayer shooters. And all through this period, Call of Duty has kind of taken 2 steps forwards and 1 step back, at best. We've had the amazing Battlefield 4, the amazing Battlefield 1, Rainbow Six Siege, Titanfall 1 and 2, and of course, the mighty PlayerUnknown's Battlegrounds. And I like to remind people that multiplayer Call of Duty is a massive time investment. And for me to reduce the time I'm playing in the likes of PUBG or DayZ, Modern Warfare 2019 would have to be exceptional, and I'm afraid to say that with the minimap ripped out, it's not. If you're a big Call of Duty fan and you're looking for that arcade first-person shooter and you've got the time to sink into it, then I say it's worth buying on launch. But if you're a casual player though and have plenty of other titles to keep you busy, I'd leave it until it goes into a deep sale after Christmas, then pick it up for the campaign and perhaps the multiplayer. I said, on Saturday, I came so close to pre-ordering Modern Warfare 29, but now I'm glad I didn't. Sure, if Infinity Ward put the minimap back in permanently, I'll probably buy it at launch, but if they don't, I definitely won't. This was so close to being an amazing, exceptional COD, but Activision had to go and spoil one of our favourite game franchises all over again. Sorry Call of Duty fans, but I'll probably be putting my time into DayZ and PUBG, and my money, if I'm going to buy in a new game, probably into something like Ghost Recon Breakpoint. So that's kind of what I wrote, because I was so disappointed. But then the next day, they put the minimap back in. And then, so I adjusted what I wrote. And I wrote another bit to my review. And I said, this is what I said. I said, okay, but then the very next day, they put the mini back in, so you don't need to earn score streaks to see it. It's not the minimap of old, you can't see enemies on it, even if they're firing, unless a UAV is up. But you can see where your teammates are, which makes all the difference in knowing if those footsteps behind you are friendly or not. As your teammates fan out around you, the minimap allows you to see the shape of the battlefield, where your enemies probably are and where the holes are in your offense or defense. Quite simply, Activision and Infinity Ward have saved this Call of Duty by putting the minimap back in. With the minimap returned, I then dived back into Modern Warfare with gusto, playing the night mode, which was fun, the HQ mode, which is okay, but it's not that much fun if you're on the losing side, and TDM and Domination, which now play like a good, solid Call of Duty. The standout for me, though, is the 20-man Domination on the Grozny raid map. It's a big map with open areas and open urban closed ones, and it feels almost like a battlefield map. And with all that space and with all those peoples playing at once, you really play the way you like. You can play tactically around the flanks, you can rush through the middle, you can snipe from the back, or you can assault right into the enemy spawns. And when we first saw the trailers for Modern Warfare 2019, with all the promises of big maps, big player counts and vehicles, I honestly thought that this Call of Duty would have finally been the one that pulled people back from the Battlefield franchise, especially as Battlefield 5 has been so terrible. And the acid test will be the addition of the 32 versus 32 ground war, which we're getting next weekend. If this plays well and the maps are interesting to play, and they say that there's going to be more than one of these big maps at launch, then Battlefield will have something to be scared of, and it'll be another reason to buy the game. With all this, after playing the first weekend of the beta, does it mean that this is a great Call of Duty worth putting your money, and more importantly, your time into? Well, I think that if you've got the time to invest in Modern Warfare, to learn the game and to grind the levelling, and Call of Duty is your thing and your main game, and you've been waiting for a great Call of Duty, then I'd say buy it on launch. If you're a casual multiplayer shooter, I'd have to say that Modern Warfare is still a good choice too. The tricky question is where Modern Warfare would take the place of another game you're playing, and that's the situation I'm in. At the moment, DayZ and PUBG are taking up almost all of my gaming time, and I don't know if Modern Warfare is exceptional enough to replace either of those games. Throw the new Ghost Recon into the mix too, and to be honest, I'm still undecided. To get good at Call of Duty, you have to commit to it, to practicing, to learning, to grinding those muscle memory skills that will get you to the top of the leaderboard, and I just don't know if I've got the time to commit to that. A good example of this would be the indecision about what I should play when I got up early on Sunday morning. So I was working on Sunday, but I got up a bit early because I had to retitle some videos, then I had a little bit of time. And really, it should have been a no-brainer. It should have been, right, play Call of Duty, you've got a chance to play the Modern Warfare beta, you know, you've got this time. But I didn't. I was thinking, oh, while I'm having my cup of coffee, why don't I play some PUBG? You know? And a big part of that may be the fact that the maps aren't Triarch 3-lane maps. They're a lot more complicated. There's a lot more little hidey holes for people to camp in, and you can't always tell where the enemies are coming from. Where this should have been a no-brainer, it should have been you're playing Call of Duty. And if I go back to the time issue, without that commitment to get really good at the game, I find Call of Duty frustrating. You end up just spawning and dying. And the skilled players, they all start doing jump shots, swan diving, and they scope their way to victory. Because remember, this is still a Call of Duty game. And my other considerations are this channel, because I know I can make fairly well-informed content about PUBG and DayZ, and probably Ghost Recon too. But there are so many other good content creators who basically just concentrate on Call of Duty, and they know so much more than I do. So I don't think I can, and I don't think I want to compete with them. So to wrap this all up, yes, Modern Warfare 2019 is worth buying if you're a COD fan, but for me, I'm not sure. So that's where I was. And then Sunday night, last night, I put in a good few hours playing Call of Duty. And something sort of clicked. The minimap clicked, the guns clicked, and I started having a really good time just concentrating on TDM, Domination, and the 20-man Domination on the big Grozny raid map. And I really enjoyed it. And it means that now I'm super looking forward to next weekend and the 32 versus 32 mode. So whatever you're doing, as soon as it becomes available, download the free beta and start playing it. This could be an absolutely amazing Call of Duty, and it could be the one that brings us back to the franchise big time. And if this 32 versus 32 mode is good with vehicles, hopefully we get helicopters and hopefully we get tanks or armoured vehicles, you know, this could be the one that really gives it to Battlefield, and maybe even gives us the Battlefield we want.